Most people just don't use compression right. They either turn their tracks into overcompressed, lifeless garbage or have way more dynamic range than they should. There's a fine balance, folks, and since compression is so essential to getting a professional sound, you've got to learn how to use it properly. That's exactly why today I'm dropping some compression knowledge on you like a ton of bricks. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 game-changing techniques that every producer should know. This video is a continuation of the mini-series I've been doing on compression, which started as one video but was so long I made it into 3. If you want to learn how compression works or you want to learn how to actually hear it, check out the videos up here or in the description below. And with all of that said, let's decode these 5 techniques for better compression. Technique number 1, chaining compressors. You've heard of chain reactions, but how about chaining compressors? Think of this as layering. Instead of slamming your track with one heavy compressor, use multiple compressors, each doing a little bit of work. It's like having multiple filters on your coffee machine, each one refining it bit by bit. With multiple compressors, each compressor can focus on a specific aspect of the sound. One might handle the peaks, while another manages the body. This also allows each compressor to do less work, which ultimately results in a more natural sound. It's like when you decide to ask your buddy to help move your couch. 2 makes the job way easier. Let me show you what I mean by using it on a real track. All right, here's a track that I've been working on for a client, and I want to get those vocals to sit a little bit more dynamically tight. Now, the vocal recording is already pretty good. As you can see, the peaks and valleys aren't far away from each other, and I've thrown on the slightest touch of EQ, and now we're ready to throw on some compressors. For this example, I'm just going to be using Logic stock compressors, so you can follow along with your DAW of choice, or if you're using Logic, feel free to copy the settings I'm using.
Everything fresh like it's never been
This is
done.
before.
You better not blink cause they'll blow past you like a rocket ship but just a little bit faster.
Click on this line up here to add a compressor. Whenever I'm working with vocals, I like to use FET type compressors or FETs. Vocals, I always start around 4:1. I start with a semi-fast attack and a quick release. Turn off auto gain, and I'll dial in the threshold till I'm getting around -5 dBs of gain reduction.
It's anything fast and anything fun. They'll do everything fresh like it's never been done. You better not blink cause they'll blow
I'll add
past
some makeup
you
gain
like
to
a
make up
rocket
for
ship
that
but just a
decibel
little
reduction.
bit faster. Yeah, it's anything fast and anything fun. They'll do everything fresh like it's never been done.
So this is a very fast compressor. If I add another compressor in chain, you'll hear that I can do some different things with it. I'm just going to click and drag this one down using Alt, and now I have the same exact settings, but I can add some different parameters to this one to make it sound slightly different. I'm going to adjust the attack a little bit slower so more of that transient can pop through. First one's faster, so it's taking care of that. Then I'll adjust the release ever so slightly to be slower as well, so we get more of that compressed sound on some of those longer transients. Here we go.
It's anything fast and anything fun. They'll do everything fresh like it's never been done. You better not blink cause they'll blow past you like a rocket ship but just a little bit faster.
The sound is sounding way more like a professional mix and way closer to what I would actually do. It might be a little bit over compressed for my taste, but I wanted to emphasize what these chaining of the compressors can actually do. On to technique number 2. Technique number 2 is use parallel compression. Let's get parallel. Not in an alternate universe kind of way, but in a music production kind of way. Parallel compression, also known as New York compression, is about blending. Imagine you're making a cocktail, you have the original drink, and then you add a splash of something else to give it that unique taste. That's what we're doing with our tracks and parallel compression. Here's how it works. We keep an untouched, dry version of the track, and then we mix in a heavily compressed version. The result, you get the best of both worlds, the dynamic range of the original and the beefiness of the compressed. And remember, it's all about balance. You can create parallel compression with 2 tracks, which ultimately gives you more control of the compression, but alternatively, if your compressor has a mix knob, you can get a similar effect by turning that bad boy down. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to create a duplicate track to show you the hard way, and then I'll show you the easy way. We're going to duplicate the audio on this new track. On this one, I'm going to name this one Compress so I don't get confused. This one will be natural, so I'll take off the compression, and this one will be extra compressed.
Done. You better not blink cause they'll blow past you like a rocket ship but just a little bit faster.
Perfect. So that's giving that beefiness that I want. Now I can take the volume of this, the fader, and just adjust it to taste with this one till I get something that's in between and it sounds good. Let's do it.
It's anything fast and anything fun. They'll do everything fresh like it's never been done. You better not blink, cause they'll blow past you like a rocket ship, but just a little bit faster.
A really easy way to have more control over your compression. What's also cool about this is on this compressed track, I can actually add an EQ afterwards. I can take off the reverb. I can do things that I can't do if I'm just using a mix knob on the track itself. But most of the time, if I'm going to be doing this, I'll go to the mix knob and I'll turn it down and do that same thing to taste. I'll take up the mix knob till I feel it's doing something. So I'll take this one, I'll take the threshold down.
Think fast and anything fun. They'll do everything fresh like it's never been done. You better not blink, cause they'll blow past you like a rocket ship, but just a little bit faster.
There you go. That sounded good to me. Technique number 3. Edit your audio tracks. Now, I'm not saying become the Scorsese of sound editing, but a little trimming goes a long way. Before you even think about compression, ensure your audio tracks are clean. Cut out the noise, unwanted frequencies, and those pesky pops and clicks. The better your raw material, the better the end result. Trust me, compression loves a tidy workspace. It's like doing your homework on a neat desk instead of a cluttered mess. Let me show you how I might edit these vocals so that they better get hit by the compressor. Now, honestly, this is a pretty clean vocal take. If I'm ever rapping, I find that I have less work to do in the long run. It's really when I'm singing that I have a lot more breaths, a lot more pops and clicks because I'm trying to make some more intricate sounds with my mouth rather than just rapping some words. But something I find myself doing quite often is to fade in the beginning part. Any takes or in-betweens, I will crossfade so that I don't get any pops at all. And then at the end, I will do that same thing with the fade. That will help keep things tight, keep things steady. Okay, there's one part that I am hearing here that I might want to get rid of, and it's this F sound in fast.
A little bit faster.
To get rid of it, I'm actually just going to solo this right here. I'm going to get my marquee tool, clip that, and I'm going to go here and very slightly put a fade on it, and you'll hear what it sounds like with that.
But just a little bit faster.
It takes a little bit of that sting away from that F. That sounded a little bit better, a little bit less harsh than it was. You can see where I'm going with this. That is a very nuanced and detailed thing I might change. But if you have an overpowering S or an overpowering breath or an overpowering mouth click, you can see where this is going to come in handy. On to technique number 4, which is automate gain for more natural compression. Automation is your best friend. And no, I don't mean letting robots take over the world or music production jobs. I'm looking at you, ChatGPT. In music production, automation allows us to change parameters over time. With compression, this means we can adjust the gain to make it sound more natural. The gain refers to the signal before it hits the compressor. I have a full video detailing gain here or in the description below. The description below. For ultra dynamic tracks such as vocals, we want to hear every part. We put a compressor on and adjust it so that we hear our quietest part. Sometimes we find that our loudest parts now sound overcompressed. This is bad. Boo. To fix this, we simply change the gain on the quiet parts to better match the amplitude of the loudest parts. Then, once we run the signal into a compressor, they'll have less work to do and it will sound way more natural, which ultimately is the goal of really good sounding compression. Let me show you what I mean. There are a couple words here that you can actually just see with your eyes that are different amplitudes than the other ones. Most of them are pretty much on point and I wouldn't change them too much, especially because this is a good recording. But if we listen to these last parts, you can see that this right here, maybe even this right here needs to come up. So let's just hear it.
Past you like a rocket ship, but just a little bit faster.
So I would think that maybe just these two could come up. Now there are two ways that I like to do gain staging for a vocal or any instrument like that. Notice that these are two separate words so that there's some space in between. If we click here, then we go up to the region gain here, we can actually just adjust the gain for each individual part like this. Now, if we play it, we'll get a little bit more clear of a signal.
You're like a rocket ship, but just a little bit faster.
That's sounding good. Alternatively, I'm actually going to throw a gain knob on by going to Utility, Gain. Then I'll open up the automation window by clicking A on my keyboard. I'll go to gain and I'll click on gain. Anytime you want to make gain changes, I always recommend doing this if you're going to automate it. This allows you to move the fader after the fact. If I make changes here, here, and here, and then I dip this out completely, you can see that I can still move the fader and it won't be affected. It's a way easier way of working, and I always highly recommend it. When I found this out after years of doing it by automating the fader, I was kicking myself. So please take my advice. What you can do here, let's get rid of these and let's go into each individual word and see what we can bring up. In this case, I'm just going to eyeball these frequencies and see what needs to come up and what needs to come down. This one seems a little bit loud to me. I'm going to click here with my marquee tool, click here, and I'll drag this one down. I think these two at the end here can come up too. So I'll do that same thing, and I'll maybe even put this one up a little bit more right at the end here.
Been done.
So now that's going to give me a little bit more consistency before it hits my compressors.
They'll do everything fresh like it's never been done.
And that's going to also let me hear the words way better. If you can hear the words before you even compress them, you're on the right track. Compressors and EQ are there to gently mold the sound, but if you get a great recording beforehand and you edit the sounds beforehand, it's going to sound even better. Now on to technique number 5. Use the right compressor types. Not all compressors are created equal. Just like you wouldn't wear sneakers to a black tie event, you don't want to use the wrong compressor for your track. There are different types such as optical, tube, FET, and VCA. Each introduces its own flavor to the sound. My 2 favorites to use are opto compressors and FET compressors. Optical is smooth and has a slow attack. One famous example is the LA2A, and I personally love using it on anything with low end. It gives that vintage warmth and that round low end. FET is aggressive and adds a distinct color to the sound. The 1176 is a FET, if you've ever heard of that, and I use this on all types of tracks and every vocal track I ever make. Try out the different types of compressors to see what works best for your track. After a while, you'll start to notice the distinct characteristics and crave the coloration that they add to your sound. And there you have it, folks, 5 techniques to master compression. Remember, like all things in music production, there's an art and science to it. Listen, practice, and always trust your ears. Compression can be your secret weapon or your downfall. But with these tips, I'm confident you'll nail it. If you like this video, go check out the rest of my compression mini-series down below and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. The next time you're tweaking those dials, think of this guide. And remember, it's not about following the rules to a T. It's about understanding them so you can bend them, break them, and make them your own. Until next time, keep those tracks tight, right, and produce all night.